Hi, hi, hi.
No, no, we are not starting like that.
Hi.
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 Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hi, what's up? First video of the new year, and we're at Jared's place. What a great way to start the new year.
Absolutely. I cleaned my room for 30 minutes with Kevin in the room with me watching.
Something wrong with your webcam?
No, I was just showing off the thing that's on my
Oh,
wall.
okay. What is that on your wall?
It is the elusive Mothman.
Mothman. I thought it said Mathman, and I was like, that's even scarier.
Mathman. No!
Mathman. All right, we got a lot to talk about today. But first off, we are shouting out a creator that gave us our first merch. Brooke Ashlynn Creations is the creator of these lovely little water bottles. They each have our name on it, respectively, and looks like we got the little microphone, the little headset there.
And a controller.
It looks like a Steam controller, but
it honestly does look like the Steam controller.
Honestly, right? Looks like a DualSense and a Steam controller had a baby. We got our channel name, JK Amusements, and then we got
in the future.
Yeah, exactly. We got the perfect little photo of me and Jared on here. Obviously, I don't know if you could tell, but that's me. That's Jared.
Much shorter hair
from back in 2016,
yeah,
right? When you had your male beauty pageant.
Yep, our high school did a male beauty pageant, and I somehow won.
And it's great. It keeps our hot things hot and our cold things cool. So thank you very much, Brooke Ashlynn Creations, and thank you very much for Maddie for commissioning these.
We will be posting Brooke's page
Mm-hmm.
in the link.
We will be
posting the link in the
Brooke's
description.
product page in the description below. So thank you very much to the
Thank you again.
All right, so without further ado, we got a lot to talk about with Activision Blizzard being acquired by Microsoft.
We are definitely late to the party, but
there are a lot of implications based off this deal. Everyone's been calling it the massive gaming deal of the year, but it's probably the biggest gaming deal
in history.
In gaming history, like ever since it's been a thing, ever since the medium has been created. $68.7 billion transaction that went through, and that's a cash transaction. So imagine just Phil Spencer walking into Bobby Kotick's office and just like dropping the bag and being like, I own you. Because he does now. And there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of implications with this. My first thoughts were actually not that a lot of Activision Blizzard's properties would go exclusive. Like, everyone's like, oh, Sony...
That was definitely my initial thought. Like, it's more of like the player base made climate of Sony versus Microsoft. It's not like, but when you look at it from like the the actual company's sides, it's really like non-existent.
Yeah. And like it's sort of, I think it should be treated on a case-by-case basis. Like, if you look at something like World of Warcraft, which is PC-only sort of thing, I could totally see that going exclusive to Microsoft, because where else is it going to go?
Exactly.
You know?
Like, Sony has no stake in PC. So.
Yeah, so that's not going to go anywhere. Candy Crush, I mean, I think...
Oh, yeah, sorry, we misspoke earlier. Xbox has bought Activision Blizzard King.
And King is like the large mobile game conglomerate that's like home to things like Farmville and Candy Crush.
Zynga is Farmville.
Oh, right, they're owned by Take-Two. Sorry.
Now Take-Two just bought them.
It's getting hard to keep track of all the monopolies being created in front of our eyes.
I'm so happy that there are only like 6 companies now.
Oh my god. More on that later in the video. That's another topic that we'll get into. But other things like Overwatch, I do see going exclusive, because like Xbox does love its shooters going exclusive. The one exception to that rule, I think, is Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, I actually did some research on this beforehand. Skyrim, Elder Scrolls V.
Yeah.
People love to point out that the next Elder Scrolls is going to be exclusive to Xbox, and they're right. It is. It's going to be exclusive. But I would argue that the Elder Scrolls isn't as much a mainstream property as Call of Duty. If you look at the total lifetime sales of Elder Scrolls V, like across every...
the decade now.
It's ported to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Like, so many different platforms have Skyrim on it.
Alexa has fucking Skyrim
It's smart toilets have Skyrim on it. Like, fridges. I think you can even play it on a pregnancy test. I saw it the other day. But if you look at the total worldwide sales and the lifetime sales for Skyrim, it's only, like, I say only, but it's like $4 or $5 billion, give or take. That's a lot of money.
For a single game,
For a single game, yeah. But if you look at the lifetime sales for the best Call of Duty, which I think at this time, Modern Warfare 2019 is currently the best-selling Call of Duty of all time, just because the Modern Warfare was, like, I would argue peak Call of Duty, and when they thought that thing was getting revived, it was the huge hype machine.
Yeah.
So in November 2019 is when it came out. By May of 2020, they had sold 30 million copies of the game.
That's a lot.
So if we do math man, help me out.
Math man,
help
punch
me
to
out.
the numbers.
You have to keep in mind, Elder Scrolls Skyrim is one game spread out over many generations, right? The average retail price, $60 of Modern Warfare, multiply that by 30 million copies. That is $1.8 billion in 8 months.
Yep.
Whereas Skyrim generated about $5 billion over its entire lifetime. So obviously that's a lot of money that Microsoft would be leaving on the table, so to speak, because I think the overwhelming majority of Call of Duty players either play on PC or PlayStation platforms. Xbox accounts for a relatively small percentage compared to the other two platforms combined.
Okay.
And I think Microsoft would be remiss to leave that much money on the table, especially since they spent so much in acquiring Activision Blizzard. So I don't think Call of Duty is going to go exclusive, especially since Phil Spencer actually said that they were not looking to take Call of Duty away from PlayStation platforms.
So even just in that, like,
I think that's comfortable enough to assume that Call of Duty is not going platform exclusive. So I think that's safe. I have seen speculation that they would do a thing like Warzone is multi-platform, and like they would do single-player Call of Duty.
okay, I see
like
what you mean.
Call of Duty campaigns, for example, and then they would do.
Because Warzone's still on PlayStation, so I think they would like continue.
Warzone is going to
have
be
it on
the battle
PlayStation.
royale going forward for Call of Duty, until they come out with a Warzone 2, which I don't want to be around for. Other things like Diablo,
Which is again in the past been exclusively
PC, yeah.
PC.
So I think that's gonna
and
go
StarCraft,
exclusive.
like
StarCraft, I think will go Xbox and PC exclusive. So I think those are safe. But I think Candy Crush is gonna stay on all mobile phones because that's a massive mobile phone market.
yeah, there's no reason that
everybody's-
we would need a console
everybody's-
version of Candy Crush.
Everybody's mom plays Candy Crush, right? So like they're not gonna take that away, especially iPhones. Like they're not gonna only port it to Android phones. Like
yeah,
you crazy?
because Apple would come after their throats for that.
Exactly. Epic is trying that shit right now
Like
with
Epic,
Fortnite.
Epic is still trying.
But
Honestly, I give them credit because they're fighting an uphill battle.
everything else other than Call of Duty and Candy Crush, I think, is on or off the table for Microsoft to make exclusive.
Mhm.
So I don't know about that. But let's talk about the implications that this has in like other areas besides exclusivity rights.
Yeah.
To certain properties. Like what I'm thinking is like we mentioned this on the Friday show when we were talking about it, but I briefly touched on going forward. No company is safe from being acquired. Like
yeah, this sets
like-
a major precedent.
Like I remember tweeting at somebody when they said a few months back when the discussion about Microsoft acquiring the parent company of Bethesda. I remember discussing that on Twitter with somebody, and they were like, well, Microsoft could just buy EA if they wanted to. And I remember personally arguing that Microsoft wouldn't buy EA because the
EA
amount
is too big to like get their feet swept out from under them.
EA is like massively profitable on their own, and they like Microsoft. The offer that they would have to give EA in order to acquire them would be like too much for them to want to do.
Yeah.
That's not true anymore.
Nope.
Because
EA is worth what, like 11?
EA's total market cap is valued around $11 billion.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think Activision Blizzard was actually worth less than $69 billion.
Okay.
I think it was worth 64, 65 and down there.
All right.
But there's also things they have to take into account, like future sales.
Yep.
When acquiring massive companies like this, like it's a very business related, very economical. So
Stocks, something.
Stuff that people much smarter than us can get into more than that.
Oh, something's in my eye. Bureaucratic bullshit's in my eye.
I love capitalism.
I just love it so much.
Oh my
makes
God.
my eyes red.
What do you think about like this idea of like massive companies just eating each other up and just like swallowing each other up? Because the one thing that people immediately drew comparisons between Xbox buying Activision was Disney buying Lucasfilms or Disney buying Marvel. What do you think about these massive companies making these other massive acquisitions?
It's a give and take for me because I made the joke earlier, like I'm so happy that there's only like 6 companies in existence now, but it leaves a sour taste in my mouth, and I think it's like the fact that we're watching capitalism crumple in on itself, but like, which is bad. because I
Everyone
would like,
says we're in late stage capitalism now.
Yeah,
Like,
oh,
we're in
absolutely.
We're in capitalism's natural end state.
we're like a hop, skip, and a jump away from O'Hare's heir from the Lorax. Specifically with the example of Disney buying Marvel, it hurts me as someone who doesn't like capitalism as a practice, to see companies like buying each other up and stuff, and everything is like, and that affects like the market and shit. But I have no idea what I'm talking about. Once I start talking about like big business, I just start
rambling.
I just start saying words that I hope the meaning gets across.
I just start grunting communist
I return to monkey.
I just say,
Um,
proletariat.
Yeah, it is like hope, and hopefully someone is just like, oh yeah, and then you dance around a fire all night. But it's not like they like just buy the name and then they're like gut everyone and like we're gonna do things our way now. Like they're putting Marvel to the best use that it can be. Honestly, it's never been better.
Mm-hmm.
Hot take, probably to somebody. Like in this sense, I feel like Microsoft has the resources and the team to put Activision Blizzard to good use, and like Philip Spencer even said that there are several, would I say dead?
I would say dormant.
Dormant. There are several dormant properties from Activision Blizzard that he wants to revive because he feels like they just kind of went away and everyone was asking for them. And specifically, name dropped Guitar Hero, which, I mean, Guitar Hero was my childhood right alongside Kingdom Hearts 2, which we talked about on stream as well. If you're not watching our streams on YouTube every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Where you were going with the argument that I'm not a fan of capitalism because, like, anybody with, like, brain cells rolling around in their head knows that, like, the bigger companies get, the less competition there is. And the less competition there is, naturally that'll lead to less innovation, and that'll lead to like less decisions that the consumer can make for themselves.
And higher prices because
they can essentially name their price and you can't do anything about it.
You have to buy it for that price.
So like going off of the Disney buying Marvel example, like there was a period in time when not every Marvel movie that came out was part of this like Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like there was a time when like every other studio had a Marvel idea and they wanted to do their own spin on it.
Yeah.
Which I was a big fan of. I was like,
believe me, some of my favorite Marvel movies are like
they didn't go well together.
Pre-MCU.
They didn't go well together, but they weren't supposed to. They were supposed to be this like homages to these comic book characters that we had never seen before in this capacity. Like the Ghost Rider movie.
Yes. And the Punisher movie from 2002.
The Punisher movie was great. Even what is it? The Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. That wasn't the best movie by any stretch, but I thought it was a great interpretation of Daredevil.
I forgot about that Daredevil movie.
Blade.
Yeah.
The original Blade movie.
Wesley
that was
Snipes
great.
Trilogy.
The old Hulk movies, pre-MCU Hulk, like that was great. I just think one massive corporation owning all the rights to these properties leaves room for lack of creativity. Like there's a problem that arises in the creative aspect of things when only a certain pair of eyes is dedicated to using it, and they are the only ones that can use it.
It almost like, because now they're like shackled to the MCU, so to speak.
It's like Marvel is literally owned by Disney. So it's not like they can do anything about it, like unless Disney decides to sell someday to another buyer. But even then, we're right back at square one, where like another corporation with potentially less resources than Disney has all the rights to these characters, and we don't see anything for a while. Like, there's a problem that arises from these massive corporations buying these large properties. However, in the example of Xbox buying Activision Blizzard King, specifically calling out Call of Duty, we all know that Call of Duty has been plagued by like most likely franchise fatigue, I would argue.
Yeah, I did just recently see an article that they're looking to move away from annual releases, which I think
is the exact thing that they needed to do.
They needed to do that 3 games ago, and I'm excited that they're finally realizing maybe we should not flood the market with the FIFA of shooters.
Yeah, like I think a lot more people would play them and get more use about them. And I think, for the most part, I believe that Activision Blizzard was mostly competing with itself where Call of Duty was
Honestly,
concerned.
yeah, they're just like, all right, that one's out. Starting on the next one.
Because how many people, like, if you're a gamer, you know someone who's a Call of Duty fanatic. You just do. You know someone who is. It's that massive of a game franchise. And I would argue that if, like, look what Assassin's Creed is doing. They moved away from annual releases a while ago. I think it was 2017 was their first year. They took a year off.
Yeah.
And they actually started doing 2-year release cycles, which was a lot better. It made a noticeable improvement in quality to the games that they were putting out. And I think this is the right step in the direction for Call of Duty. Because, like, not only is Microsoft a bigger company than Activision Blizzard, which is hard to imagine because they were already so massive, but they'll be able to dedicate more resources to Call of Duty. All of the harassment problems won't be there anymore because Microsoft, say what you want about Microsoft being a large corporation and not being a fan of that or whatever, their workplace culture and their harassment standards are actually pretty good. And personally, I have not heard any instances of Microsoft being egregious in terms of sexual harassment or not valuing employee rights or welfare or anything like that. So I think that this is a good step in the direction for both those staff members from Activision and for the game series that they currently are beholden to. And I think that I remember reading Microsoft in the wake of buying Activision Blizzard, they're actually currently reviewing their harassment and employee policies in regards to this. So I think that's a good thing. I think they want to be prepared and they can show the public that that these staff members and these properties are in good hands, which I find very reassuring.
Absolutely.
And I think this is a good way to go. I mean, StarCraft, how long has StarCraft been dormant? I don't remember the last time a StarCraft game came out.
No, it's been lost to the ages.
It's been
honestly.
crazy. In terms of more than just opening things up to more than just Call of Duty. You remember when Activision did all of those like superhero games and all those weird licensed games back in the day? Like Activision, weren't they partnered with 20th Century Fox to put out stuff like the Simpsons game and the Family Guy game, right? I think that was them. Like there was this heyday of Activision from like before 2007,
like PlayStation to Xbox, GameCube era.
Where they did so many games. Like I didn't realize how much of my childhood Activision was responsible for. Like in the Guitar Hero era, for example, first Guitar Hero came out in 2005. Like that era of Activision was like its golden era, where like they were responsible for so many like weird and zany like hits that I just loved playing so much. And I hope we see a return to that Activision Blizzard back in these days. Like I remember studios like Beanox and Toys for Bob that made these great like creative projects, and I was so disappointed from like 2015 and 2016 onward, where they were just like support studios for the latest Call of Duty. And I was like, that is such a slap in the face to their legacy and their potential.
Yeah.
And I was like, they could be doing so much more with that creative team and the ideas that they have rolling around in their heads. So I think for the broader publisher in general and the developers in general, I think this is a great move. Am I upset that another massive corporation has swallowed another massive corporation and gotten even bigger?
Definitely.
I am not happy about that.
Because I don't think I went into it earlier in the video, but I mentioned that this sets a precedent now where like anyone is fair game. Mm-hmm. You were talking about that with EA and how we did, like back then you thought they were too big.
I thought they were like safe from being acquired or something like that. But just not anymore. That's not the world we live in. Like I remember telling you, I think the phrase I used was the rules are off the table. There are no more rules where it's concerned anymore. If your company, by the way, if your company is public, which most game developers are, unless it's an indie studio, most likely, then you are beholden to shareholders. And if your shareholders get an enticing enough offer, an enticing enough buyout, you can be bought out. You are not safe. And I think one of the things that we were talking about in the wake of this, one of the things that we were freaking out about was Sony's stock had plummeted.
$20 billion
in equity in the wake of this announcement.
So yeah, they're sweating over there.
And we know they're working on a few things. Sony's working on things like their Game Pass competitor, codenamed Project Spartacus, which I am very excited about. They're working on just blatant backwards compatibility with PS4 and PS5 consoles, meaning that you could play PS1, PS2, and PS3 games on your PS4 or 5, which would be a real punch in the gut to Xbox, I think. And if they could get their Game Pass competitor up, and if it's really as competitive as we're hearing it is, like being able to play PS1, PS2, PS3, PSP, and PS Vita games, holy shit, would that be a real punchback.
Because I was just thinking, well, the one concern is with PS Vita games, you need the touchpad. But ever since the DualShock 4, we've had a touchpad on our controller that's never fucking utilized. Except like right out the gate when PS4 launched for gimmicks and stuff. That would be fucking awesome.
That would be amazing. So I think Sony is preparing to do that. We have a rumored release for their Game Pass competitor, which is or at least an announcement, which is Q1 of this year. We're in Q1 right now.
I was about to say, we're like almost a third of the way through Q1.
But it is heavily rumored for a February release. And they're saying that they're going to announce release dates for more of their titles, such as Stray and Ghostwire Tokyo and things like that.
Can't wait for Ghostwire Tokyo.
It looks great. Something that slipped my mind. That's also a Bethesda title.
Ghostwire Tokyo?
That's a Bethesda title.
Interesting. So it's one of the last.
It's one of those things like a
case by case.
They're under contract to bring that to Sony exclusively.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or at least it's a timed exclusive, like Deathloop was, because Deathloop will be available, I think, on Xbox starting this year in the fall. So I think it's just a 1-year timed release. But I think we see a direct correlation between like launch times and how many people play then versus a year after launch and how many people play then. And I think launch is definitely preferable. But I just think this whole situation is so crazy. And I was talking to you about, like, everyone's talking about, like, well, how should Sony respond? Well, one, they should announce and release their Game Pass competitor. 2, backwards compatibility is the way to go.
And they're responding right now because we've already seen PS3 titles appear on the PS5 store.
Mm-hmm. And 3, we've been discussing potential developers that they could buy in response. And I think the 2 that I mentioned to you were Ubisoft,
yes,
which I don't think they're as likely to buy.
Likely.
I don't think they're as likely to buy because I don't think Sony's way that they operate is consistent with Ubisoft's. I don't think they would want to do that.
The other was Square Enix. Yeah.
Which I think that they are much more likely to purchase. But there's also a third one that I forgot about that is another Japanese company that I think Sony would want to acquire. Capcom.
Interesting. Capcom does Resident Evil, so I would not complain.
I think it's fair to say if Sony bought Capcom, you would never be an Xbox person again.
Throws my PC with Game Pass away, and I'm like, I don't even want a whiff of Xbox in this house.
Put the Woody meme here.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Bye, PC. One other thing we were talking about is, like, now that we know these large companies could be acquired, like, now that we know your Activisions and your EAs could be acquired, like, just like that, like, it was so fast how we heard of this.
It came out of nowhere.
We woke up to this news.
We woke up to the news that it was like, oh yeah, it's a done deal. It's finalizing like in this summer. What? Just drop a fucking bomb on us, Phil. Okay.
Now that we know this, first of all, we have heard that the CEO of Activision Blizzard, Bobby Kotick, will be staying on until this deal is finalized in summer 2023. However, it looks like they're going to get rid of him once the deal has been finalized. And I think that's more of a contractual obligation. Like, he has to stay on until the deal is finalized, and they can't really do anything about that. And it's disappointing because when he does go, you know he has a golden parachute ready, and he's going to get a nice severance package, which he doesn't deserve.
But it's nice to know that he'll never work.
It's nice to know that he's not going to actively be hurting the developer he's been in charge of for the last 30 years. He's been in charge of Activision Blizzard for 30 years. And I think it's finally time for him to say goodbye. I think he's done. But more than that, going off of that, a bigger picture idea. Now that we know your Activision Blizzards and your EAs can be bought in a blink of an eye, I wanted to get your thoughts on how do you think the industry would respond if someone like an Apple or someone like a Google buys an even bigger person, an even bigger corporation like Sony or Xbox?
It's interesting because it's not up to like the CEO just saying, "No, I decline your offer." Like you said, it's up to the shareholder.
If they get a large enough offer that's enticing to the shareholders, they could be bought up.
Yeah. I could definitely see that being one of the timelines we go down.
And who has more money than Apple, Amazon,
Google,
or even Facebook? Imagine Facebook owning.
Sorry, should we say Google and Facebook, or should we say Meta and Alphabet?
Meta and Alphabet. No, we're saying Google.
We're saying Google and Facebook.
If you're saying Google and Facebook, this video gets copyright.
Yeah,
this segment
right.
Gets copyright striked.
5 seconds.
We're actually a real YouTubers now.
Yeah,
we got our first copyright takedown notice this past holiday.
Oh my gosh! From like 45 seconds of the Matrix thing.
Our entire video was taken down.
4.5-hour video. That was funny.
It's
I
fine,
went
though.
to I went to sleep laughing and chipper.
It's fine though.
I actually went to sleep in a drunk rage.
That's
Like Kevin the next morning commented on the fact that I was breathing so loud. Just
You went to bed snoring angrily, which I didn't think was a problem. I didn't think that was possible.
and I don't even
And
snore.
And I think I took the segment out that was
You figured it out,
I
but
took the
I had
segment
already fallen asleep, and you're like, oh, he's gonna wake up in a bad mood.
he'll find out well, at least he'll have good news to wake up to. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's good. But yeah, we're real
Snoring
YouTubers now, in other
angrily.
words. But like, I'm not excited about the prospect of Facebook buying someone
Definitely
like
not.
Xbox
It's
or
honestly
Nintendo.
something I could lose sleep on thinking about.
Yeah, or some, because like that is when creative direction would really suffer. Like someone who has like very bad business practices or very questionable business practices at minimum, buying someone like an Xbox or a Sony, and I don't think that's a good move. But we'll see. We're in late stage capitalism, and
Maybe we'll have one company just for everything by the time we're dead.
we're in late stage capitalism, which means the gloves are off. We are in uncharted waters. Anything can happen now. Any company can be bought, any company can be sold, and any property that you like can be changed. So,
What a way to end the video.
Yeah,
oh
right?
my god.
welcome to 2022, everybody. Don't know when this video is going to be up. Expect us to talk about the Steam Deck later this month. I'm assuming you're going to finish this by February.
Yeah.
So expect us to talk about the
Try.
Steam Deck later this month, which will be. Oh, I'm so excited about that. Most
Yours
anticipated.
is coming in a couple months before mine, like 3 months.
Mine is coming in end of next month.
Yeah,
So-
mine's coming in Q2.
So I'm most anticipated release of the year, more than any game, more than anything coming out this year. I don't care what game is coming out this year. I want Steam Deck first. That's what I want. I'm so excited to make content about this. I'm so excited to like benchmark it, do videos on it. I am so excited to review it with you. But yeah, expect that video. And again, we'll link creator Brooke Ashlynn Creations down in the description below. And thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you to Jared for hosting the recording location as always.
Balls.
And as always, we'll see you here at JK Amusements in the next video. Bye-bye.
Math Man is watching! You know how like people when they were 12, edgy teens would be like, if a vampire came out of the woods and told me to come with them, I would leave forever. If Math Man came out of the woods, I'd be like, let's go.
Let's go.
Here we
I'm
go.
leaving forever.
We're not a mega alt-right, we're a mega all-right group.
Mega all right.
Every season of Survivor on Paramount Plus.